the conference program is out. And in addition to Ken, we also have Marianne Wolf, Anita Archer, Jan Hasbrook, Julian Elliott from England. Who else? Some other eminence. Sharon Vaughn from Texas. So all of these eminences, because they don't have to get on a plane or even a bus, are speaking at the conference. And so is Ken.
Here's the funny thing there. I almost didn't speak at the conference because I couldn't get on a bus or a plane. I want to go to New York. I want to even help you do tables and stuff.
What are you talking about? Look at me. I'm in Florida.
So am I, and I got a sweater on.
Hey,
So I don't know if I believe you, Sammy. It's cold as hell here.
I'm hot already. I'm dying here.
Even as a blizzard, Lavinia, I enjoyed the hell out of New York City and your conference. And you know I advertise.
Anyway, so now you can come from your living room on a Saturday and just, get credits, hear Ken, hear these other eminences, and get all these CTLE credits and attendance certificates and learn a lot. So do come to the conference.
Even the New York City conference, to me, is the best conference in the country. I enjoy it. I've been going there for 20 years. And I'll even help set up tables. I'll be there the whole time because I love the people of New York City and I love the people I meet at that conference. Of course, it's a big city and there's a couple of jerks, but I can go to small cities and find jerks. But you can find gold in New York. You got to pan for gold in New York City. And I know there's a lot of dirt in the pot, but man, this has got a lot of gold in the pot. So it's my favorite conference. It's worth traveling to, and I'm talking about my friends in Kentucky and my friends from everywhere else across the country. It's so when we get rid of this COVID stuff, maybe we can have a whole group of Florida people here and try to drag some good weather up there to you.
Quick question: how much is it?
Maybe we'll do it at a warmer time. And I have to say, I hope everyone don't take offense at this, but I have seen teachers elsewhere, and I truly believe that a good New York City public school teacher is the best in the business. And former teachers from my school have gone to other places. One was the teacher of the year in Broward County, teacher of the year in Dade County, and then they get promoted to high places because they have a good grounding in New York City in a real school with real kids. And they don't rush them into special ed for no good reason.
Sammy, you had a question for us, Sammy?
Yes. I'm trying to find out. I don't need CTLE credits. I just want to know how much is the general price without CTLE credits or whatever.
The price is $50. It's 4 Saturdays. It's $50 a day. But if you want to come for all 4 Saturdays, it's $150.
And what are the dates?
You can pick January 23rd and 30th, February 6th and 13th. And it's all on our website. And I think you are on my email blast. So you should have gotten it.
Okay, I'll have to check.
Just today, 6 a.m.
Well,
my emails get buried these days. Very quick.
I've been hearing with the online school stuff, especially. It's the emails are more than packed full of stuff.
I'm fully remote.
We'll get rolling here. As a reminder to everybody, again, we record these. If you don't want to be a piece of that, recording, you can kind of, mute yourself, turn the camera off, whatever you want to do, whatever makes you feel comfortable there. But of course, we want everybody to kind of engage in the conversation and, be a part of this and make this into a good, community and conversation that we all kind of learn from each other on. So yeah, this week we're kind of focusing on punishers and rewards. And I guess my first question is, Dad, what kind of made you want to do this topic this week?
Here's what made everybody thinks I'm some kind of big shot in reading. I'm not. I took 0 courses in reading. Catch that? 0. I was a creative writing major. And then the best place that gave me creative writing time and scheduled time so I could take history and literature courses was the College of Education. So I ended up getting an education degree, though I didn't want it. But the jobs came, and it appeared God wanted me into the field of abuse and children who've been severely abused and neglected. So I was really lucky that at the University of Florida, I received one of the best trainings in not only teaching, but in behavior that you could get. So my background is in behavior. So here I am with everybody thinking I'm some kind of reading guru. I'm not. Everything I do and everything I've created has at its center, has its cornerstone, behavior. And that is neglected. And I think Great Leap stands alone in the world of reading interventions as a behavioral program. And that's why you'll see many, and a lot of cool behaviors are built into it. And that's why I want our group here to get a good understanding of what is reward and what is punishment. Because even Webster got it all wrong. Reward and punishments I want to talk about. And too many educators have seen this book and get all on the wrong track. It's called Punished by Rewards by Alfie. Oh, a big shot. Oh, this guy's smart, says a lot of things. But when I read him, I'm not reading a person of experience that sat on the front lines of the war and actually worked with a whole lot of kids. So I'm hearing little things. First, punished by rewards. The title is an oxymoron. You cannot be punished by a reward by definition. So now we got to go to definition. What is a reward? In behavior, it's very simple. It's that which gets you the behavior you want. That's as simple as I can make it. I want something, I'll reward you to get it. I get rewarded by paychecks, or used to, back when I taught. I'm in a company and COVID's different. But I get rewarded with paychecks and it works, okay? So a reward, to make it as simple, let's make everything simple. That's what I hope I'm good at. A reward is that which increases a desired behavior. I want something to increase, I reward it. Aha. So if I want something to decrease, what do I do?
Oh, you want to punish it. Yeah.
Punish
As a quick reminder, since I forgot to mention up top, but as usual, if you have something, just kind of unmute yourself and either ask the question, or I'll try to work you in the conversation, or make sure that we, give you an opportunity to talk or ask that question.
Well, the fun stuff here is I'll get the definitions in, and then I'm going to give you a scenario, and we can all kind of talk about it, because it's a scenario that every teacher has bumped into. But so reward, positive reinforcement, gets me the behavior I want. It increases it. Punishment should decrease it or extinguish it. So punishment decreases behaviors. Now, the natural reaction of all organisms to punishment, escape behavior. All right, keep that in mind about what all we're doing. Punishment invariably leads to escape. Okay, and you can escape by being compliant, or you can escape by not giving half a damn. Lots of escape behaviors, we tend to forget that. Lots of escape behaviors. Lots of reward behaviors, but we got to know what we're talking about and go into teaching with both eyes open. We don't do that. We want to be on autopilot on punishment and reward. Now, the third thing I've got to bring out, and this is the toughest aspect of reward there is, because nobody gets it. If you want somebody to fail a question on a test in behavior, ask them what a negative reinforcer is. Almost always they go to punishment. Negative reinforcements, by definition, can't be punishment because it said reinforcer. Reinforcers increase behavior. It's the word negative that throws everybody off, because negative punishment. A negative reinforcer, so you can pass the test forever and ever, is removing something to increase a behavior. Well, what is that? Well, the easiest one I know is I'm in my classroom and little Joy in the back is preferring to doodle on her paper instead of writing and write love notes to other boys, right? So I want to decrease that behavior of her doodling and get her back on and increase on-task behavior. So I began walking. It's called proximity. I could do a whole lecture on behavior techniques, but this is called proximity control. I began walking in her direction. Oops, she hides her notes, she doesn't, and she gets back to on-task behavior. That is a negative reinforcer. I removed me. As soon as she got back on task, I moved. I removed me in whatever I may have done. And I got the behavior, I got an increase on task behavior. Negative reinforcer, forget the word negative. Whenever you see the word reinforcer, think of reward. Okay, so there's the hard ones. Now comes our scenario. And we're gonna go to, I don't care if it's 5th or 6th grade, trying to cover as many people as I can. But and you can apply this across everything in the whole planet.
Let's real quick before we go on to the scenario. Did anybody have any questions or things about those kind of definitions on, you know, punishment or reward that he just put out there?
I looked up Webster's and they had it all wrong. They said punishment is retribution or penalty, often painful. Oh, come on. Yeah, tell a masochist all about that. I'm sorry. That's not punishment, that's reward.
Like people who love super hot sauce, right?
Yeah, that could be a reward. So if I've taught anything here on this one thing is, you can't name me an event or something that is punishing or rewarding. You can't do it. You've got to think. And no more autopilot in teaching. You can't be on autopilot and teach. You teach. And you know your kids and you know what you're doing. So I know what punishes and what doesn't. And there's a whole ton of things. But I want to create one scenario because it has a lot of school personnel in it and a lot of things going on. And this can happen in church study groups. This can happen everywhere in our world. But it's a Friday, not before Christmas. These Fridays don't count now. Or come close. But on Friday, it's 3rd or 4th period. And I don't care what your class is, you're calling the roll. And when you get to, I'll just use my own name so I won't forget it in the story. You come to Ken Campbell. Ken Campbell, he smiles and gives you the finger. Whoa! Right now, you're going to Mr. Livingston. Out of here. I'm being punished, right? So off to Mr. Livingston I go. Livingston looks, oh God, it's the butt Campbell again. Campbell, we're going to send your butt. You're going to clean dishes with Miss Gladney. That's what you're going to do. You're going to wipe off dishes for the hog. So I'm sent, and then, but you're going to have to face Miss Bell. First, before you go clean up those nasty dishes, take her this note and it'll tell her where you're going. All right, so now Mr. Livingston's not an idiot. He has let me face within that hour where I had my problems with, and my consequence is getting ready to happen. I got to go to the cafeteria and scrape dishes.
Does Mr. Livingston the dean here, or the
He's
principal?
The dean. He's the assistant principal, the guy in charge of behavior who has to deal with idiots like me.
You're the student, okay.
And I'm the student. So there I go, humming. I got to face her again, but I walk into the room and now I'm smiling and there. And off to the cafeteria I go to scrape dishes. And then I get to go to PE next period. And my day is off just like it was. Now was I punished? Lisa, you shook your head. Why wasn't I punished?
Because you didn't want to be in that class, so you got out of it, and then you got to go to PE instead of having to do that class. You probably had a test in that class you didn't want to take.
You got it. There was a test. Guess who didn't have to take the test? Moi. Now, so I wasn't punished right down the line. The closest thing I got to a punishment was having to face the teacher again. That's pretty good on Mr. Livingston's part. But I walked in and all those kids are taking a test. And they all know I'm not. I won. Do I care? Do I give half of them if I get an F? No. So I wasn't punished. Now, one thing I want to point out for every teacher and every administrator here, what did Livingston do that to me is elitist and awful? Jess, you want to take a guess? You're muted.
Yeah, sorry, I had to find the unmute button. No, why should it be a punishment to have to go wash the dishes?
Yeah, what is that saying about people who wash dishes? That, oh, what a horrible place, what a horrible job, what a nasty place to be in. That's a horrid thing to teach kids, especially poor kids, that what these people are doing for a living is a horrible thing. That is one of the worst messages I've ever seen and watched a school do, is to denigrate the workers. I used to send my kids to the same place as a reward. You get to go work, with Mr. Jenkins. He's doing the mowing today, and hey, if you're lucky, he'll let you run the mower. So the same thing one teacher's using as a punishment, I've correctly seen it as a reward. So reward and punishment, we've got to teach, those of us who are administrators are going to be administrators. We've got to teach our people, what is a reward? What could I have done? And there's a million things because none of us are here right now. What could I have done in that situation when I get the finger? I see Sammy with a finger up.
A different finger.
Different finger. My raising hand button doesn't seem to work.
Well, I got the finger where that worked, and it was the right finger.
But there was actually, I was going to try to cut in before. The other thing that was, I feel that was done wrong is once you send the student to the principal or someone else, you just lost all power over that student. You basically said, I have no authority. And now the student learns that you don't discipline them, rather the administration does. And what's going to happen is now the student knows that he can do more what he or she wants in the classroom because you're not the disciplinarian of him or her.
You did surrender. You got that right. And surrender, boy, in the world of behavior disorders, it's kind of the last thing you want to do is surrender authority. We can
and that's
talk,
what you do.
Boy, here's a topic. I don't know if everyone's interested in it, but it's a huge topic. It's called the curriculum of control. And that means personal control. And in my own job, which is taking sexually and incredibly physically abused kids and trying to re-enter them as productive members of society and who they can be, sometimes, especially social workers and stuff, who never work with kids, when I'm trying to set parameters and change children's lives, I would get this question: who made you God? Because see, I'm establishing controls, I'm taking decisions, I'm really trying to mold this person's life. Who made me God? Tough question. But the real answer is nobody. I'm a teacher. Adults have responsibility over children. I don't, if I see a little 2-year-old running toward the street where they could get run over from a car, I don't have to be God to decide I'm going to rush in and save that child. It's not a God decision. It's a caring adult decision of setting parameters, setting rules, and setting that's not going to happen here.
Lisa, do you have something?
Yeah, Ken, you asked what could be done to actually punish the kid for giving the middle finger.
Nope,
Well,
I
the kid,
didn't say punish. What can we do? Let's take out the word punishment. Punishment leads to escape behavior.
he was probably doing it to get out of taking the test.
You got that right.
I would say, and he probably doesn't like time with the teacher in particular. So
Yeah.
extra time with the teacher, take the test, and then he can stay after. He can miss one of his preferred activities to spend quality time with the teacher, since he needs work in that area.
That's if it was a persistent problem, that's shooting a lot of guns at the same time. That's like emptying my gun of bullets. Which there's times I wanted it, boy. I can't talk this in public schools in New York. That's emptying your gun of bullets. Yeah, I'm using all my ammo at once.
Ben, do you have something? Yeah.
I see Lavinia up.
Actually, I mean, I was in a very lucky position for 35 years. I was in a school where my fellow principal down the block said it was Candyland. So I don't have these experiences, but I realized when I was a first grade teacher that you have to put yourself in the mind of the student. What is punishment to them? Because when I started, I'd say, I will call your mother. Well, 6-year-olds, they don't care if you call their mother loves them. So I finally learned, I would say, you stand on that square over in the corner and we're gonna have class without you. And when you are good, you can come back. And that was, being separated was what killed them, not some future punishment.
That's the time.
And also, a person I most admire said that one way to administer whatever you want to call it is to give the kids a choice. So when I was a principal, we had a little detention room, so you couldn't go out to play for like 10 minutes. But for 10 minutes for a kid is torture.
Forever.
So they'd say, please don't make me go to detention. And I'd say, well, you can either go to detention or I could call your mother, or you could do and they would choose their punishments. And then you're kind of empowering them to be punished. And then they learn that they don't want either one. And it doesn't take that long.
And see,
but I was not in a very extreme situation. I was with nice little kids who maybe, were
nice little kids. The world of behavior works the same on them all. But you have to determine what works and what doesn't. And if the timeout, you just remove them from the activity. You don't go in and counsel them during timeout because attention may be the number one thing they're looking for. And now you're giving a kid that's hungry for attention. So timeout ought to be like in hockey. You're on the timeout bench. You don't get to play. That's pretty damn tough.
And you watch everyone else playing.
All around you.
That is torture. Torture.
That is an honest to God timeout done correctly. They are done so off. I want you to think about what you did. No, I don't. I want you to go in there and listen to what we're doing. I wear my krill shoes. I'm not aversive. But boy, am I empty. You are talking to a damn robot when you're in trouble with me. You are talking to a robot. I don't hate you. I'm not going to hurt you. I don't want to do any of that stuff. Now, the little sucker that wants to get out of the test, there's no way, no how, no when, no where he's getting out of the test. But the first thing I'm thinking about is, I screwed up with that test. I have a test he doesn't want to take. Okay, how did I do that? Well, he doesn't ever come to school. Okay. I still got to think it out. We've just got to think. And I don't have all the answers there. Another thing I do, in my room, everybody earned their chair. What do you mean earn your chair? Well, you can sit wherever you damn please, you know, unless I decide you got to sit somewhere else. And I don't want to decide you got to sit somewhere else. But my gosh, if all you're going to do when I call the roll is shoot birds at me, I'd like you to do it closer to me. So we're going to move your chair up to the front row and you get to sit with me and take your test. But you get to sit with me every day until I figure out you can go sit where you want to again. So you earn the right to even your seat. You can sit wherever you want to till you blow it. You blow it, I sit you. And that's control. Okay, I'm doing a control. But I'm trying to always have a way you can get your way back in. Punishment leads to escape. If I teach anything at all, it's really be careful with your punishers. Here's a subtle punisher. When at the end of the room, at the end of the class, when you had to turn in your assignments, I stood at the door. Okay. Everybody it was amazing how they lined up to give me their papers. Those who gave me the papers all came first. They had more hold time. Those who didn't do it have to meet me. And now good old caring Mr. Campbell is going to be, and not meaning a word of it, telling you how much I care, and I'm going to walk you all the way to your room, counseling you with all this love and concern and teacher bullshit, not believing a word of it's real. Because what I'm doing is I just took away every damn minute of your fun all time, and I didn't even tell you I did it. You know, so it's a secret punisher. But, you know, how do you make that behavior go away? That's what you're putting in the kids' head without even telling them. You want to make that behavior go away? Turn in some work. Our idiot there is going to walk with you like he's caring and lecturing you the whole time. Like, oh, I can't stand it. That's a punisher. But a big piece of today's talk and sharing, and we can talk a lot about this because we're all working with kids, is punishment and reward and rethinking the whole idea to individualize it. And don't throw your nuclear stuff early. Then you're left with nothing.
Well, let's kind of flip it to the other piece of that and go towards rewards for a bit. Obviously, lots of great leaps, and so much of it is focused on the positive reinforcement and using reward to build behavior. So, you kind of mentioned the two or different kinds of rewards, and I guess how that applies, like in our great leaps world.
Oh, I left out one more thing in definitions, and it's a natural consequence. There's natural things going on that we got to work with too. So a natural it's not a punisher. If you decide to stick your tongue in an electrical socket and you get the hell shocked out of you, that's not a punishment. It's a natural consequence. And the more natural you can set up your environment, the better. So and when you're not thinking of natural consequence, when you design something, you become punishing. And a great example of that is the attention span of a child is 10 to 15 minutes. That's it. Unless you're a great transition expert, that's it. Great leaps, you might see, runs 15 minutes. That's one of the behavioral pieces built in from the get-go. So we're working within the attention span of a child with 3 to 4 transitions to keep it rolling, to not get boring. So that's one of the eliminators of future punishers. I've really, really tried hard to eliminate every aspect of punishment in the program that we can find. I know success builds success. I know you compete, when you're competing against yourself, you're not competing against everyone else. And you're finding you're winning. I've done everything I can, and much of it is subtle, to eliminate punishers. Reading things you don't give half a damn about is punishing. Okay. I learned through experience and from Ken Pugh, reading is language. So initial reading, when I think of babies, we don't take our babies and say, hey, let me teach you about Einstein and theory of relativity. We go doggy, mama, daddy. So we're relevant. So relevance matters in the stories and everything we do. They don't give a half a damn about the rats of Madagascar. Or that one of the main products of Florida now is palm oil, and that's destructive to the environment. They don't care about that. I do. They don't. But I'm not writing this for me. So early stories must talk to the child, actually talk to them. And that's how, when it's actually talking to them, and it can't be phonetically perfect and do that, because nobody but an idiot would talk phonetically perfect all the time. So the story has to talk to them and sound like it's talking to them. And it must not be punishing. Boy, on Science of Reading today, I'm all over the place on immediate correction and how to do it. One of them wants to take a kid when he misses a word and go look it up. Well, why in the hell don't you just beat him with a bullwhip? They don't hear. I mean, he doesn't want to do that. What's he going to learn from it? Please tell me. I don't know anybody learned anything from looking a word up in the dictionary. And then when they find it, they can't read it because the definitions. Yeah, go read me the definition of. I don't think I can know what it means. So we've got to teach our people. Work so you don't become punishing. If you're boring, you're punishing. I just heard a woman saying, well, the reason this kid isn't learning phonics is the tutor hates kids. Now, I got to ask a simple question. Who in the hell in their right mind would hire a tutor for their kid that hates kids? That doesn't speak to phonics. It doesn't speak to Orton Gillingham. It doesn't speak to anything. It speaks to hiring an idiot. If you don't like kids, why are you teaching? You're punishing. People who don't like kids, being around people who don't like you is punishing. Rewarding. We have found we get better data from people who haven't been trained in anything than people who don't like kids. Because spending quality time with someone who likes you is good for you. So those are just some of the things in tutoring in Great Leaps. One, we want our tutors to like kids. Two, we want to work within the attention span of the kid. When a mistake is made, the behaviors have jumped me on that. When a mistake is made, we immediately correct it. Okay? Some of the strict behavior said, you are reinforcing and rewarding mistake making. So let's think that out. Are we? I think what we're doing is rewarding performance. That when you make errors, first, we've given you no negative, we've taken all the negativity of an error off. I mean, they're just learning opportunities for me. So you remove the stigma of an error, and you're getting time because you're performing. Now, if every time Kenneth Campbell, the guy that got sent to the office, if every time I made an error, you made me go look up something in the dictionary, you know what I'd do? Quit reading. No, man.
Escape, right?
Huh?
The escape behavior, right?
I escaped. I haven't made any mistakes at all. I don't have to go to that stupid ass dictionary.
Lisa, do you have someone?
Yeah, we know that immediate correction isn't a reward because the response proves it. We see that when we correct errors immediately, kids stop making errors. I haven't had a kid yet who feeds off of immediate correction.
And the proof there, this is what's cool. The proof is in the pudding. And if you're not taking data, how can I as a teacher talk to you? Because it's all anecdotal. I need data. And 1 minute data, I don't want to look like a clock Nazi or something, but it allows the data to make sense. Now, if we've got to hide the clock, we can, but I need it. I need the data recorded in a manner to me that makes sense so I can look at performance over time. And hopefully with a data picture, I can see a whole lot of data. I can see 3 months of data in a minute and a half, and I don't have to listen to an hour of talking. but so the importance of data will tell us if we're eliminating these behaviors or not. And indeed, we are. Here was a huge question, and Colin, you're there on this one, because Linda was a guesser. She had been taught in a whole language program that wants you to use the picture, even use the first letter of the word and take a guess. So we had crazy ass guessing going on. It wasn't easy to get rid of, was it, Colin?
No, it definitely took a bit of time and consistency there. Sam, did you have? I see that your thumbs up there.
Yeah. What I actually do is to get rid of guessing. The first thing I do is, at least you do in remote, I put on a little Batman cape and a Batman mask, and I tell the kid, "What is Batman?" And they all say a fighter, a crime fighter, a superhero. Well, what does he do? He's a detective. What does a detective do? Look for hints, look for clues. Does Batman guess on who did something or who did something wrong? No. So from now on, while we're doing reading, you're Batman. You have to look at the clues and you have to figure it out. There is no guesswork. And
Love
that's
that,
what I do
Sammy.
to all my kids.
That's so awesome. I'm a big Batman fan myself. I wish I had you as a teacher. I would have loved that. That's awesome.
And the parents probably thought I was crazy wearing a Batman mask and a Batman costume in class in remote land.
Good.
They're
All the
probably all
better.
quoting,
You gotta
whatever,
be
saying,
crazy
"What's
to
wrong?"
be a teacher, don't you? We all know that.
Lavinia, do you have something?
This about immediate correction. Would you hire a piano teacher or a tennis coach who didn't correct you? I mean, Serena Williams has a coach to correct her immediately when she makes a mistake. And the idea that teachers somehow shouldn't be doing that is crazy.
Or waiting till it's over to then do the correction. It's not
Like when
possible.
they've lost the tennis match, right? Like,
You've lost the power you've lost. The two most powerful tools we have. A lot of people want great leaps. Well, you can't do it in 15 minutes because you got to teach. I hate to tell you this, but the best lessons are in 2 and 3 seconds. Immediate correction is powerful with intonation. Let me leave that out. If I went to the store, well, that was a good try because of the ST. And I go, I went to the street. It's immediate. I don't want to go, okay, let's stop here. Sound that out. Because now I'm losing the flow of fluency. We'll go to that later. But when we're doing the reading, I'll correct it immediately with intonation. So obviously I can't just do the word. I've seen tutors do this. I went to the store. Street. Look at the very difference. I went to the store. I went to the street. There's intonation there. There's chunking there. You're teaching a whole bunch of stuff. And it only took about 1/3 more of a second.
Sammy,
and then
did you have? Oh, sorry.
I'll just do one more thing. The second most powerful thing we have is modeling. And that's the Serena Williams thing. Right again. Okay, here's your error. Okay, you made a mistake. Stop. We're in practice. Stop. Now watch me do it. Let me see you do it again. Okay, wait. Watch me do it. Okay, let me show you your hands here. Modeling, modeling, modeling. You immediately correct, then you model. And it can be anything from tennis to bagpipe playing to reading. And we're not doing that. We're just not doing this, Lavinia. We are stuck. If a kid can't serve, he'll never play tennis again in some of our remediations. You can't serve, you'll never play tennis until you can serve. We're going to sit here until you can damn serve. And until you stop it. I don't have forever. I'm arguing on this. They're talking to me about a 10th grader. That 10th grader's being punished like crazy. Let's get that kid reading. I don't have 3 years to teach him every fine nuance of phonological awareness in phonics. I just don't have that luxury because I'm running out of time and that kid's going to jail if I don't save him. And you had written the article on that, and man, I praised it and yelled and screamed, and I'll keep screaming on that. We don't have 2 years to teach these kids, adolescents, to read. We don't. I don't care how great your program is. You know, the match is next week. The match is next week. and you got to play. And if you can't play, you'll probably quit tennis.
Right.
And that's our war. And that's a war we've got to, at everyone reading Illinois and Chicago, I'm in New York and Chicago, I'm gonna be hitting on hard. And my topic is word and world knowledge, but so you'll know, what I'm really saying is there's more to it than just the tools of reading. Go build a damn house. I don't care if you got a nail gun and a saw. Go build a house. And I'm here with you.
Sammy, did you have something?
Mine was a little back while when you were talking
Sorry.
about why a lot of times teachers don't automatically correct right away. One of the reasons why, because I see both sides, because I am still in classrooms and stuff like that, is they're used to not confronting a student right away because they're afraid to point out a student in public or embarrass them. So when they're working alone with a child, even tutoring, they still have that mindset that we're going to embarrass them without realizing you're not really embarrassing them. Rather, that's actually teaching them. But there's a fine line from what a lot of times a teacher will consider embarrassing the student versus teaching the student. And I think that's where that comes from.
You have to know your kids.
Yes.
Never put
don't think that
them
happens.
in an embarrassing situation.
Exactly.
Do not ask a child a question he cannot answer.
Yes, but I think what's going on is a lot of times teachers won't, even like on a one-to-one, when you're doing a program, they don't feel comfortable correcting the student because they're so afraid that it's going to embarrass them without realizing it's not going to be an embarrassing situation, and they can't separate the two in their, by themselves as an adult.
Sammy, they're bringing a lot of this embarrassment on through their body language and their tone and how they confront an error. Look at how we use the word. We're calling it a mistake. We're calling it an error. We have laden that behavior with negativity that is needless. It is I love the way Ogden Lindsley put this and many others. This is a learning opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we mistaking them? Here's an interesting test you can try. If you take a group of 4-year-olds, give them all a sheet of paper, and you say, in 5 minutes, everybody, I want you to fill your paper up with stuff. Ready? Go. Watch them. Now, let's go to a 12th grade gifted class. All right. Here's today's assignment. I have one sheet of paper. What I'd like you to do is in 5 minutes, fill up the sheet of paper. Any questions? If you're a substitute, now you got it made. You know why? The whole period's going to be taken up.
I was gonna say I've been in that situation at the
What do you
classroom,
want?
always asking, what
What do you want? What do you require? See that I do not have to see this is behavior talking. I do not have to see the rock hitting the water to know that this is the result of punishment. I see the ripples. Boy, are there ripples. These kids cannot perform because performance has been punished and they fear punishment. So they cannot, we have killed creativity. We have had them so afraid of performing that the only guys that are going to fill up their paper are the troublemakers. And they're not going to have any trouble at all. And they'll probably all grow up to be entrepreneurs, poets, Hollywood producers, because we did not kill the spirit of creativity. I would love better if anyone knows graduate students are people who could do a behavior report. I would like to see the impact of subtle punishers on emergent reading. I bet that world is so filled with punishers for the children who are struggling. And even the children who are not struggling, we're thriving on punishing behaviors. And if I've done anything in Great Leaps, and not only I now, all of us work to eliminate punishers. Punishers lead to escape behaviors, and escape behaviors lead to no performance. We want to increase performance, increase the freedom of trying. So I don't punish a guess. I don't want to punish a guess because that's performance. I don't want to punish performance. I want to eliminate guessing. So eliminate guessing is my objective, and I won't get there through punishing. So sending a kid to a dictionary, I may as well be hitting them with a bullwhip, in my opinion. I think I'd rather take a lash with a bullwhip than be thrown to a dictionary.
Sorry, Mary, do you have something? I saw you unmuted there a while ago.
Yeah, I wanted to go back to modeling. I think that working with the diverse population of kids that we have in New York, it's really important for them to hear how the stories should be read with the intonation. Because a lot of times they struggle through the story and they get the whole page in a minute with no errors, yet they don't sound like they're reading it with fluency. There's not, there's the intonation is not, they're still stopping and going. So I think that what really made it key for a lot of our teachers was to read it back to them, read the story back to them, and then have that discussion with depth of knowledge questioning. And they saw a big improvement. I think that the kids eventually got it, you know, but they had to hear it. And sometimes when they're struggling and reading, they're not really focusing on what they're reading. They're just focusing on getting through the passage.
That's honestly why Great Leaps got brought into New York City by Eileen Marzola and Carmen Farina. The students they found could figure out any word there was in the whole planet Earth. They could read any sentence in about the whole planet Earth, but there was no fluency. They were robot readers. And the best way to kill robot reading is let me read it to you. Help! There's a fire, instead of help, there is a fire. Now read it like I read it. And when we do intonation, we should do it like a librarian teaching reading to second graders does it. You know, we are exaggerating our intonation a bit. So, and then I have them do it. And if they don't get it, and I do not care about accents and I do not care about dialects at all. I want them to approximate the feeling of the intonation we're doing, you know. Boy, does your sister look funny. And if they go, boy, does your sister look funny? Perfect. I'm not going to spend 1 minute on sister and sister.
Lisa, do you have something to add there? And then Lavinia will get you next.
Yeah, the modeling, I mean, modeling the whole, I've found that modeling the whole passage is often not nearly as effective as just modeling one line, like 1 or 2 lines to get, because if that's a bite size that they can handle. Ask overwhelming kids with reading the whole passage back to them, typically from what I found with my kids, isn't as effective because they can't soak all of that in, but they can get one line really well. And that one line turns into more lines as you're doing it every single day with intonation with them.
Mm-hmm. You're going to be modeling different sections as well, or different lines depending on the day or what the errors were. Yeah, that's a good point.
The everyday piece is very neat, and we're leaving a lot of that out. Is every day is that because we're working with neural pathways and stuff like that. Every day is almost essential, and it's really tough to get some people to believe this because they say, okay, if I can get 20 kids in at 5 days a week, I can get 40 or 50 in at 2 days a week. I can get 100 in at 1 day a week. So my analogy to have to fight this is like antibiotics. You got to do it every day. You know, you just got to. And you don't save anybody by doing it once a week and saying, I can get 5 kids on this antibiotic. You just lost 5 kids.
The lifeboat analogy that you use, I think, is the most, where if you have a lifeboat fit for 20 people and you try to load it up with 50 people, you risk losing everybody.
You lost everybody. You know, I sometimes I give flippant answers, and that's because I'm in behavior disorders. But I told them, well, we can only do this once a week. Isn't that better? And I go, no, Use the same time for basketball. Have them play. You know, if you're not going to do it right, you're not going to catch me into telling you, hey, I'm all right with you doing it wrong because you don't want to change the world to make it right. This is how children learn. I'm sorry that our manufacturing system of schools want them to be like a Ford factory or something, making automobiles. No, these are children. And they best learn one-on-one new things. And when they have skills, you put kids together so they use skills. That's where the team comes together. And that's where the conversations happen. And that's the real fun of teaching. But I've got to get them, equipped to be able to jump into that river. They got to swim. And we're throwing them into the river and they can't swim. And then we wonder why they don't want to jump.
Well, Van, do you had something?
What, me?
Yeah.
I just want to say, Serena practices tennis every single day. And she knows how to do it. Anyway, one of the things that I think that's very important, good readers and writers know that print is simply a transcription of language. And when you get kids to read with prosody, they say, oh, wow, you know, this is language. This is language on paper. And then I can speak, so I can write. I just have to get it down. Whereas if they're reading like, hello, daddy, it doesn't connect with anything that goes on in their life.
You see, this is why we've chosen the stories in Great Leaps we chose. You know, like talking about pizza, talking about things that the objective is to have that 1 minute talk to them. And now the fMRIs are proving us right. That is what reading is. It is language. And if we pervert it so it does not sound like honest, fluent language, maybe we're not doing what we need to do. I don't care about Nat the cat, bat a fat rat. It's contrived. Language is nice and not contrived. And I like one of the things Pew said, we're allowed about 2 words per 100 to do any damn thing we want to with them. Throw them in, define them for the kid, but we're allowed to, when we're reading, to have 1 or 2 words per 100 that we have no clue what they are or how they say or anything, and we can still go along. We do a whole lot more than that, we don't get reading. But we're allowed some parameters of teaching here. And when we're the teacher, we can tell when the word chalet comes up, I'll tell the kid and define it right there. I'm not going to tell them to go look it up. A chalet, and I'm in North Carolina. That's one of those rich guys' houses on the top of the mountains, you know? Yeah, that's a chalet. Bingo, keep going.
Sam, I saw your thumb flashing there a little bit ago. Was it?
Don't worry about it. It's too late.
Okay. Well, we're running close to an hour here, but I wanted to. I guess I don't know, Dad, did you want to address we didn't really have any winners for the trivia thing, but I want to be respectful of everybody's Friday coming into the holiday here. But was there any update with the trivia stuff?
No, I've given about all the clues I can on that. What's her name? I don't even watch her, so I don't even remember her name. Bruce Jenner, and I don't know his name anymore.
No, it's Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, she denies it. She denies it. Marilyn Monroe didn't bother to deny it, and neither does who's the singer?
Oh, I don't remember it. We might have just. I think we stopped getting answers in on that.
It wasn't
Halle
Halle
Berry.
Berry. It was Halle Berry.
That's
yeah,
right.
her too. Yeah,
And Oprah Winfrey.
Right.
Oprah
Mary's on top of it.
They're not denying it. Hey, before Christmas, guys, do you want me to just tell you what it was? Or
No.
New enough?
Okay.
You want to keep trying?
No, don't tell us.
Hey, we at least got one person bought in. So can you think of another hint for this week?
We might get it next time.
Okay, I'll do this. I've actually heard a few guys have this same problem.
Who?
Some guys. I haven't looked them up. but it's not just, you know, so many answers are going on augmented breasts and things like that. Nah, you know, a guy can have his problem too. But oh man, does she deny it? And she supposedly has photos, Kim, that proves it. And some people still kind of wonder. But Marilyn Monroe definitely didn't deny it. And I honestly haven't gone to look at a whole bunch of pictures to see if I could find it out. You know, they usually, you know,
Oprah Winfrey had been accused of it, right?
yeah, she got accused of it too. And I'll tell you next time, whatever, if nobody gets it, you've got a big prize coming up.
And that, so the hint this week is that guys can have it too, essentially.
Yeah. Tony, are you talking with us in January?
Anthony?
He's on mute here.
Yeah. Hi, I was unmuted. Oh, yeah. Just about my fundraising.
Nice. Yeah, we'll reach out to you that Monday there and get a discussion going. But I'm definitely excited to kind of share that experience you have with everybody.
Sure.
And yeah, you were in the middle of COVID and all the craziness as it hit New York City, and that a lot of us have a lot of interest in that because
well,
we're educators.
We raised money for a summer program, and then when we got back to the schools, I wanted to keep going with the same kids, so we used some different. We started out with GoFundMe, then we used Donors Choose to get 20 more subscriptions. So yeah, we're growing our program. And you've helped us out a lot, Ken. Really thankful for that. Very grateful.
I'm trying, but everybody here, I know, it cares about kids a lot. And some of us have tons and tons of experience with children. And we're in this reading crisis, and everyone in this room right now, this room, has a long history of working with children. And we're watching ourselves in a crisis that's now exacerbated. And yet I don't see our nation's response. I see a lot of our response as caring and on target. But I'll go listen to someone say, all of our kids are falling behind now because we're not doing anything. I hate hearing that. I'm doing everything I know how to do. And I don't want to be on front page of Time magazine. I don't want anything like that. I want to see our children are not falling behind. And don't tell me, oh, we'll catch them up. I know what brain plasticity is. And I know the poorer our children are, the harder it's going to be to get this ground back. And so we're warriors, but we do have the weapons to fight with. Will they let us? And that's kind of my political harangue. I hate reading that all of our children are falling behind. Well, if they are, it's our fault. And let's take the blame, because we know I don't need hundreds of hours to hold the ground. I've got something.
Also, everybody's blaming COVID for everything. I mean, it's really awful, and it has, dealt a tremendous blow to the school system. However, if you know how to read in 5th grade, you don't forget how to read.
Nope.
It's like bicycle riding. 5th graders who don't know how to read never knew how to read. It's not COVID. It's inappropriate instruction.
It's us.
Long
and
ago.
We can adjust. If we can teach children how to read on the prairies, where Alexander de Tocqueville comes from France and decided to see what a bunch of idiots we are, and he found out they're not idiots. What are they doing? Reading. Why? The parents cared. Okay, I'm not going to blame this on the parents about not caring. Let's blame it on us, not us 9. Us as a culture for allowing this to happen. It is wrong. It is dead wrong, and it is hitting the poorest the hardest. Look who comes to Everyone Reading in New York and Everyone Reading in Chicago or in Illinois. It is almost always the teachers are the most privileged. I said almost. I haven't encountered many of the Bronx. We're getting into the Bronx, by the way, but I haven't encountered many of the Bronx teachers coming into the Everyone Reading conferences, and nor have I encountered Southside Chicago into Everyone Reading Illinois conferences. This is where I want to hit, and I want to hit like gangbusters, because this is where the crisis is. Those of us who spend our time and have the time to spend, we just need to arm ourselves better and how to go into where the real battle is. And the real battle isn't in the halls of the universities. It's in the tenements. It's in the shacks. It's in the bayous.
Well,
But a lot of kids of all socioeconomic levels are not reading. And that is crazy. It must be the curriculum. It is, the guessing curriculum.
Yeah, those guys, we're allies in that war. The whole language thing is a complete disaster for at-risk kids. Your kids with learning disabilities, dyslexia, and poverty, and English language learners. The whole language stuff is.
Or anybody, how many of us taught ourselves to read? I know I didn't.
Reading must be taught.
The idea that you can just do it is disrespectful to teachers, and is disrespectful to kids. And I want to give a shout out to Anthony.
Yes.
We had this little summer program, and third graders were defeated already. 8-year-olds were telling me, I don't read. I can't do that. 8-year-olds. Anthony got one of his 8-year-olds totally defeated. 15 sessions, and the kid went back to school on 4th grade level. Think about that.
Anthony, you're muted, by the way.
I think he made that progress when he got back, but we got him started. We got the trajectory moving. Yeah, that kid, that was an amazing experience.
We're saving lives.
I mean, and it didn't happen with all of the 30 kids, but it got them out of that bad head. They felt that they could, they might not have gotten to grade level, but they got out of that, I can't do this anymore. Determination and skill. I mean, how about that?
Lavinia, we need to learn how to triage. Meaning our children with extreme dyslexia, we need to get the experts to them. Right now, we're sending experts in on common colds that grandma could fix. So yes. Triage may be the answer. So Great Leaps is not saying we're for everybody. We're the grandma. We're for almost everybody. So we're not but I don't want my surgeons spending all their time cleaning up snotty noses. And right. That's almost where we're at, in my opinion, right now. We don't triage, and here's the cool part is when the surgeon is done, you know who takes over? Grandma. Back to Great Leaps. So we need to coordinate ourselves better. And I'm watching some people in the science of reading, and in Norton Gillingham and Linda Mood Bell, and many of our programs are now circling up the wagons that they're the only way. No, we have allies, lots of good allies. We do got Indians, by the way, meaning the circling of the wagon stuff. We are under assault, and it's whole language that we're under assault from. But let's not think that there's only one way. We have an army of legitimate weapons to save children's lives, and don't send your experts in on the common cold. And that's one of the big Great Leaps arguments. We can reach these children, almost 98 to 99% of them, and right now we're reaching 60. This is pathetic. And that's sort of what our group is going to do. We're going to feed each other, get stronger, share ideas, and get better.
Yeah.
In New York, speech pathologists, speech teachers have no time for stuttering and lisping. They're teaching phonics. Classroom teachers should be teaching phonics. I mean, stuttering and lisping are life skills that you have. I mean, And to have people who can really take care of that, to be teaching basic phonics is really like having the surgeon wipe people's noses. It's crazy.
And see, and perhaps as we get on the warpath, we can start getting these numbers in our professional organizations up again like they ought to be, because we have a war going on. And by allying and getting editorial, perhaps we stay too academic sometimes, getting editorial, firing up, getting the young teachers, empowering them